So far, I've ranked Premier League centre-backs and goalkeepers. Today, it is time to rank Premier League fullbacks. I've picked 2 fullbacks from each Premier League team, left and right, that I've decided, represent each team as well as possible in the left-back and right-back positions. I might get these wrong in terms of first choice and whatever. Obviously, I don't watch every Premier League team in depth very, very closely, especially considering a lot of these teams play at 4 a.m. every week. So let's get into this. My opinions on a lot of these players won't be expert, but obviously, but some of the others I watch more than a lot of the others. You'll get what I mean. Let's start off with the first player, who is Aït-Nouri for Wolves. By the way, the tiers, world class, top tier, solid, okay, subpar. Aït-Nouri goes in, for me, okay. I've watched a little bit of Wolves, and he is quite good in the attacking play. He is a bit more of a he is a very defensive fullback. He likes to, make his ground well known, and I do like that about Aït-Nouri. He's an old-fashioned fullback, and I think he's a good player. We're going to now rattle through these quickly, by the way. We've got 40 players to get through. Nelson's, it won't be in-depth about any of them. Nelson Semedo, really, really good attacking right-back, in my opinion. One of the most underrated right-backs. He goes in okay, above Aït-Nouri. Now, let's move on to Al Dakhil for Burnley. He probably goes in bottom of okay. I don't mind Al Dakhil. I think he's a decent player, to be honest. Other Burnley fullback is Vitinho. Subpar, because I've actually never seen him play. I'm not going to lie. And I barely see Burnley play. I'm going to be real. In fact, they can both go in subpar. They play for Burnley. Now, let's move on to George Baldock, who I accidentally put into the centre-backs video as a centre-back. Thank you to Hands and Heels, who commented on the last video, correcting me about, the team who I love dearly, Sheffield United. George Baldock, God, subpar. I don't watch Sheffield United. Next is Norrington Davies. I've never seen him play. He can go in bottom of subpar. That tier is going to be dominated by Burnley and the Blades. Now, let's move on to Castagna for Fulham. I really liked Castagna at Leicester, I'll be honest. I really, really liked him. And at Fulham, he's been decent. I mean, Fulham haven't been terrible this season. He's quite good going forward. He's a big body back. I quite like Castagna. He can go in the middle of Semedo and Aït-Nouri in okay. Now, the other Fulham fullback is Anthony Robinson, and he can go into top of okay. I really like him as an attacking fullback. He's borderline solid, Anthony Robinson. He's American. I think he's actually full British, but he plays for the US national team. I really like Robinson. I think he's a really, really good attacking fullback. Defensively, does have some woes, but going forward, he's pretty much a left winger. He plays that inverted fullback role for Fulham absolutely brilliantly, and I really rate him. Very underrated in my opinion. Let's move on to the West Ham fullbacks, Emerson and Vladimir Coufal, however you say it. I think it's Coufal. Coufal can't be correct. Like, culturally, his name isn't Coufal. It's probably like Shoufal or something, But I'm Australian. I don't like culture. That's a joke. Emerson. For me, probably behind Anthony Robinson in okay. In fact, they can both go in solid. I'm putting too many in okay. Robinson and Emerson can go in solid. I think Emerson's quite a good attacking fullback. West Ham signed him a few years ago, and I think he's made waves. He's held down that starting left back role, and I do rate him, Emerson. Vladimir Coufal, he can probably go above Robinson. Top of solid. I think Vladimir Coufal does a brilliant job. Attacking wise, he went through like a string earlier this season of like 5 straight games with assists. He loves getting forward, putting balls into the box on the counter attack. He has a brilliant killer pass from that right back position. I really rate Vladimir Coufal. Okay, let's move to Chelsea. Reece James and Ben Chilwell, who have really been fit for Chelsea this season. Do we put Reece James in world class? Because I think at his best, Reece James is one of the most well-rounded right-backs in the world. I am going to put him in world class. Might drop down to top tier later, but I do think he is absolutely brilliant, Reece James. We're talking healthy Reece James here. He's got a big body. He's quick. He really gets beaten in a one-on-one. Going forward, his killer cross is absolutely unstoppable. Reece James at his best is world class. And Ben Chilwell, for me, top tier. I do rate Ben Chilwell. Again, he's pretty much He's not like Reece James. He's a bit more nimble, mobile, a bit quicker. Defensively not as solid, but going forward puts a great ball in. Good offensive fullbacks do Chelsea have when they can get healthy. Now let's go to Bournemouth. We have Lloyd Kelly. Lloyd Kelly, I'm going to put in okay because Bournemouth have been decent this season. But I barely watch Bournemouth. And we also have Smith here, who can go behind Lloyd Kelly. I don't have an expert opinion on all of these. Not like any of these opinions are expert, but you know what I mean. Now let's go to Brentford. We've got Keane Lewis-Potter and Rorslev. We'll get them up there. Keane Lewis-Potter is really underrated. I'm not sure if anyone's watched Brentford, but I really, really rate Keane Lewis-Potter. He's become a vital part of Thomas Frank's plans at the Bees. For me, he goes in between Ait-Nouri and Castagna. I really rate Keane Lewis-Potter as a good attacking wing-back. Rate him a lot. And Roslev's a bit more experienced. He's been at Brentford a bit longer. Actually, Lewis-Potter might be an academy player. I'm not sure. But in the senior team, he's been there a bit longer. But I am actually going to put Lewis-Potter above Rorslev. I think in terms of promise and what he's outputted this season, I prefer Keane Lewis-Potter. Now let's move on to the Nottingham Forest fullbacks. First of all, it is Montiel, who obviously plays for the Argentina national team. He's going solid for me. Montiel probably goes above Emerson, probably above Anthony Robinson, to be honest. I do rate Vladimir Kufal more. He's a real quick fullback. He's a real quick man down that right-hand side. Defensively, he's a bit suspect, and that is where his woes come. But offensively, really good on the counter-attack for Nottingham Forest, and I rate him quite highly. And then on the other side for Forest is Toffolo, and I'm probably going to put Toffolo in okay. Forest fans rate Toffolo. I don't rate him a heap, but yeah, he's okay. Now let's move to the Luton fullbacks, whom are Ogbene and Alfie Doughty. Ogbene can go in between Castagna and Lewis-Potter. I think Ogbene is brilliant for what Luton needs. I think he could fit into quite a lot of bottom half Premier League teams. I think he does a brilliant job. While Alfie Doughty, tell me all you want, Alfie Doughty's going in top of solid. Alfie Doughty is the most underrated player in the Premier League. What an incredible attacking left back Alfie Doughty is. He's on set pieces, they're flawless. He gets down that left-hand side and whips balls into Carlton Morris, Elijah Adebayo, flawless. What a player Alfie Doughty is, and very rarely he goes to a Premier League game without a bit of attacking output. Brilliant player, so underrated. Let's move to Villa. Alex Moreno and Ezri Konsa. Ezri Konsa plays right back and centre back. I probably could have put Diego Carlos in the centre-back video, but I did put Ezri Konsa in that video, so I've got Ezri Konsa in the centre-back and full-back video now. First of all, Alex Moreno. Luca Dean's probably first-choice left-back, but he has had some health issues or injury issues, so Alex Moreno's been playing, and he's very pacey down the left-hand side. I think defensively he's quite stable. Going forward, he's brilliant, gets a lot of offensive contributions. I'm going to put him in between Emerson and Anthony Robinson in solid. Ezri Konsa, probably going to go in top tier for me. Behind Ben Chilwell, but yeah, criminally underrated, which is a nice word. He's not as much of an attacking right back. When he plays centre halves, when he plays centre half, he's solid, but when he plays right back, he's a very defensive right back. Moreno's the one to get forward on the left-hand side. In the way Villa play, they don't really play with an attacking right back, so, it's not his fault. He actually almost did score the other day against Sheffield United at the back post. But, no, I think he's a really good player, Ezri Konsa. Really underrated. Good at both ends. I rate him. Let's go to United. Luke Shaw and Diogo Dalot. Luke Shaw is world-class for me. Better than Reece James. Not by any means am I saying Luke Shaw's the best fullback in this video, because we haven't gone through everyone yet, but at the moment, Luke Shaw for me is world class at his best. He is as good as a left back gets. Incredibly composed on the ball. His overlapping runs, linking up with a Rashford or a Garnacho on the left hand side, are absolutely brilliant. I rate Luke Shaw higher than most, and I think even at centre half, like he played half of last season as centre half, and he was great. And United are a visibly worse team when Luke Shaw isn't running down that left-hand flank. Yeah, Luke Shaw, what a player. Diogo Dalot, argue with me all you want. He is going in top tier. This could be This could be awful bias. But Diogo Dalot, for me, has been United's best player this season. I think Dalot has been, over a long period of time, maybe in the recent times it's been a Garnacho, it's been a Kobe Mayanu, it's been a Rasmus Højlund, but over the body of time over this whole season, Diogo Dalot, as an attacking fullback, drops into midfield brilliantly. He's really, really good defensively. I think Diogo Dalot is a brilliant, well-rounded right back, and he deserves to go in top tier. Probably not better than Ezri Konsa, but I think it's very, very close. Let's go Brighton, Joel Veltman, and Purvis Stupinan. Joel Veltman, probably solid. Not ahead of Doughty, not ahead of Kufau. Montiel, nah. Robinson, nah. Moreno, nah. Emerson, nah. Hold up. Nah. I'll put him bottom of solid. He's probably better than Toffolo. Again, he's a very defensive fullback. Brentford do switch in between the back four and a back five. He can play the centre back role. He can play a wing back role. He can play a right back role. And De Zerbi's sort of thing is to make players versatile. Hell, he's been playing James Milner at both fullback roles. He's been playing James Milner as a number 10 in defensive midfield. He's been doing it all with James Milner. He does a little bit of that with Joel Veltman. He's just a versatile player that De Zerbi likes to have around the squad. Stupinan, top tier for me. Top tier. He's better than Dalot. I'm not going to be blinded by that. He's so important to Brighton's plans, and Brighton literally won 4-0 yesterday with a Stupinan coming off the bench, and he made a really good impact off the bench. But I think when Brighton are at their best and they're fully clicking, yes, he was benched for their 4-0 win against Palace, but I still think he is a top tier fullback, a top attacking fullback, and his attacking output is so consistent to that Brighton team. It's just they'd be nowhere without him. He is top tier, and he's missed a lot of games this season due to injury. And I feel for him in that regard, but even last season he looked really good. Start of this season he was brilliant. Purpose is stupid and take a bow. Let's go to Liverpool. Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Andy Robertson's probably world class, ahead of Reece James. Not ahead of Luke Shaw for me. Trent, for me, is probably ahead of Luke Shaw. I'm not going to be blinded there. Yeah, what a player Trent Alexander-Arnold is. As an attacking... he's completely fixed up his defensive issues this year. Defensively, he is a rock. He's so good at right back. We've been having these little discussions recently of maybe Connor Bradley's stolen the right back spot off Trent now that he's been injured, but no, I don't think Klopp's plan is to keep Connor Bradley at right back and move Trent into midfield, but Trent at right back he's a brick wall in defence this season. He's massively improved defensively. Going forward, set pieces, probably best fullback in the world in that regard. And he's still incredibly young. He's under 25, I think. So, yeah, what a player Trent is. And Andy Robertson, really, really good two-way, hard-working Scottish left back that is world class. Yeah, brilliant. Liverpool have a rich history of producing great Scottish players, and Andy Robertson will 100% when he retires go into that folklore. Let's go to Everton. Vitaly Mykolenko and Ashley Young. Ashley Young this season has been a monstrosity. He has been absolutely diabolical. Over a long period of time, Ashley Young is fantastic, especially over his 9-10 years at United. I loved Ashley Young. But this season, I feel off putting him in subpar because of how good he's been over a long period of time. But we're basing this off a mixture of this season and a long period of time. If we're going like a Premier League fullback all time, he's probably solid, top tier, borderline top tier. But this season he's been well subpar. I've got to put him probably top of okay, purely because of that. Mykolenko, he's solid. He's probably above Alfie Doughty for me. He probably does go above Alfie Doughty. Really, really rate Mykolenko. He's a big body that can just get in the box, produce flying headers, but defensively he is as solid as a wall. Really, really underrated player, and not enough people talk about this Ukrainian fullback. Arsenal, Ben White and Alexander Zinchenko, who are having a fight with each other after the game the other day against Forest. Ben White makes a lot of unnecessary overlapping runs. That's my criticism of him. But last season, he was really good. This season, he's been solid. Although, when he did miss a few games because of injury, Takiro Tomiyasu, bloody hell, he looked good. But Ben White, for me, I don't know if he's top tier. He probably is. I am going to put him top tier. Not as good as Dallo. Say whatever you want. Look, Dallo can't mark at the back post, but everything else about his game is brilliant. I think Dallo is better than Ben White, and I'll argue about that with anyone. Maybe it's bias. Maybe I'm right. Who knows? But Alexander Zinchenko, he goes above Ben White for me. Zinchenko hasn't been in the greatest run of form, but a mixture of what he's done over a long period of time, plus last season, plus for the majority of this season, really, really good on the ball. He can get some really good balls into the box for an Arsenal attack, which has really struggled to get firing, and it hasn't been at fault of a Zinchenko or a White. Two solid top tier fullbacks. For Palace, we have Tariq Mitchell and Chris Richards. Tariq Mitchell goes in solid for me. Not better than Mikolenko, not better than Doughty, not better than Kufau, not better than Montiel, not better than Robinson, not better than Moreno. I think he's better than Emerson. He can go in between Moreno and Emerson. Tariq Mitchell. And Chris Richards can go... He can go in between Semedo and Toffolo. Let's go to Spurs. We've got three heavyweights here. To end off, we've got Tottenham, Man City, and Newcastle. Let's go with Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie. Pedro Porro he had a lot of concerns surrounding him with Spurs fans in terms of his defensive ability over a few years there. But this season, he's turned into a completely new player under Ange as an overlapping inverted fullback, both of them, Udogie and Porro. Even with Porro's really short time in the league. Porro's had a few loans out of Spurs. He's built his game in all over Europe, and I think he's come back as a better and changed player. He's above Estupiñán. He's above Konza. For me, he's above Ben Chilwell. Top tier he goes. Destiny Udogie. I'm sorry, Ben, but he's got to go there. The one game that sticks out to me with Udogie, yes, he has attacking output game after game, but people have always given him criticism about his potential, or this season at least, about his potential defensive flaws. But Destiny Udogie against Manchester United at Old Trafford absolutely bullied Alejandro Garnacho. Garnacho is one of my favourite players. I love Garnacho. Garnacho is exciting, technically gifted. He can beat most fullbacks that come up against him. But Destiny Udogie gave him an absolute lesson, and he's only 21 years of age. He's going to be the poster boy for Tottenham Hotspur in years to come. Josko Gvardiol and Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker goes top of world class for me. Best fullback in the Prem. Both ways. He doesn't actually go forward that much, yet he still manages to get a few assists every now and then. That one against Newcastle away a few weeks ago to Bernardo Silva was incredible, especially the finish from Bernardo. But so well-rounded. Best right back in the world, probably. No arguments there with Kyle Walker. Josko Gvardiol I find so interesting because I remember the 2022 World Cup, how damn good he was with Croatia. He's been a shadow of himself playing at left back for Man City. Shadow. I wouldn't even put him top tier if I'm being honest. I'd maybe put him solid behind Mikolenko and Doughty, if I'm being brutally honest. Man City have never had a great history of having a really good left backs, to be honest. It's been the one position where they've never had any amazing players, and maybe thought Gvardiol was the one. And I remember when City signed Gvardiol, I was terrified because Gvardiol had come off an incredible World Cup campaign with Croatia, pretty much being the leading man, taking them to the semi-finals. But he's been a shadow at left back, and he's very young. He will come into, Man City have a cutthroat thing at their club, where if you don't perform over a season and a half, 2 seasons, they will get rid of you. So Gvardiol's got to pick it up soon, but I think there's a really good player in there. I think there's a world-class player in there. But at the moment, for what he's done at City, He's probably okay, but I'll put him in solid because I know what he can do. Let's finish off with Newcastle, Kieran Trippier and Dan Burn. I'm going to start with Dan Burn because, in fact, both of them. Like, they've both been really interesting this season. There was a period where Dan Burn was injured and Tino Livramento was brilliant at left back. But ever since Dan Burn's come back in, Newcastle have been losing and they've been conceding a lot. That losing game, which they drew 4-4 with on the weekend, Dan Burn got obliterated on the wings with pace, and he looked nowhere near it. Dan Burn was terrible. And I think Newcastle are going to need to look elsewhere. I get he's a local lad. I get he's grown up supporting the club. He plays for the badge probably more than anyone else, but Dan Burn, for me, they've got to move on from him. I think he's probably solid. I'd probably put him above Doughty. I wouldn't put him above Mikolenko. They'd probably go look in the market for a new left-back, in my opinion, Newcastle. I think they just need a new pacey one. Or start investing time in Tino Livramento to be the starting left-back. I get he's playing out of position, and he is a right-back and he's a right-footer, but I think at this point in time, for how Newcastle are playing, Livramento should be playing over Dan Burn. Kieran Trippier, we know his qualities, and he probably is world-class, if I'm going to be honest. I'll put him behind Reece James there, but his last 2 months haven't been good, I'll say that. Alright, well there is the tier maker. In my opinion, the worst fullback in the Premier League is Norrington Davies, who I've never seen play. And the best is Kyle Walker. I'll quickly recap the world class and top tier. Kyle Walker, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Luke Shaw, Andy Robertson, Reece James, Kieran Trippier, Pedro Porro, Destiny Adoggy, Ben Chilwell, Ezri Konsa, Purvis Estupinan, Diogo Dalot, Alexandra Zinchenko, and Ben White. Let me know what you disagree with and agree with in the comments, because this is obviously very subjective. Don't take it too deep. It's just a little tier maker. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheers.